everybody. Welcome to Telli Talks, where we talk about life, growth, relationships, and all things in between. This episode is sponsored by Classic Cat and 8 Lab. I have a very special guest with me today, Chris Sengal. He is a social impact real estate developer. So let's talk about it. Cheers. With our non-alcoholic waters over here.
Appreciate the invite.
No, absolutely. So for people that don't know your journey and how you got to where you are today, can you describe that for us?
Sure. I was a teenage dad, kid at 16. Went to college, civil engineering degree, got that good corporate job.
Amen.
Hated it. Got out, started flipping houses in '08 in the last recession. Started realizing the people that taught me how to flip houses were not from my community. So I was actually accelerating things like gentrification in my own neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. So I hit reset, figured out ways to do bigger impact projects in the community. And, you know, there's a catchphrase of buying the block now. We've been doing that since like 2013 in Houston, like literally buying entire blocks, making sure we preserve our communities.
So we're not buying houses anymore. We're buying blocks.
We're buying
now.
Blocks.
I know that's right. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So how do you go from buying a house to a block? Like, what's the procedures behind that? How does that kind of come about?
Forget everything that you taught about credit, about banking. Personal relationships is the key. What I've learned is there's previous generations that have built up these big real estate portfolios. They hand them out to the kids don't want them. So then they're just going to sell them. So I go to the kids, to the heirs, and say, hey, if you don't need all the money right now, let's negotiate a price. I'll give you 10% down, 20% down. I'll start making payments to you. Then I take control of the whole portfolio. That's the goal, the creative financing, without using the bank. Nobody's credit matters. None of it matters. I can control a lot larger real estate assets with a lot less, just building the right relationships.
Absolutely. So if someone wants to start buying blocks and get into the business of what you're doing, how do they go about like finding these heirs or finding these blocks that are available for purchase?
Okay, so the process usually is there's a certain group of people in real estate called wholesalers. Mm-hmm. What they do is they go find off-market deals, and sometimes a wholesaler will talk to a seller or a property owner, and they says, hey, I actually own this and this and this in addition to the one you're looking at. And that's usually how I get most of my leads. Another way you can do it is just look up an owner's name in tax rolls, and if their name comes up for a whole bunch of properties, then you know that they might be somebody that's a good candidate to talk to.
So buying a block obviously comes with perks and downfalls. What do you feel like the best perk you have to buying a block is, and the best or the worst downfall?
I think that the best perk is when you control so much at one time, you have opportunity to do a whole bunch of different things with it.
Absolutely.
So one of them, the first block I bought, it was an old abandoned grocery store in 5th Ward in Houston, which is the hood. Tried to get a grocery store to come back. Couldn't get anybody to come back. But the grocery stores kept telling me you need more higher income people in the community for us to come back. So I was able to create a plan to bring in young black professionals that grew up in neighborhoods just like that to come back and buy all the houses, increase the value of the property, without displacing anybody else because it was an abandoned property, right? And now all those people have equity in their homes because it's in a neighborhood that's going through gentrification.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and then some of the other things we do is we buy blocks that's full of rental properties where tenants are still there. So the challenge is, how do you get financing? Well, for some of those, I've done crowdfunds, raised over $1 million, letting people from the community, from social media, invest as little as $250. Now we take that $1 million, we buy an entire block. We're not waiting for Oprah, LeBron, Michael Jordan. We're not mad at Jay-Z. We can collectively do these things on our own.
Right.
And in areas where...
So they all own a portion of that space.
Yes. There's people in some of my investments that have lived in the neighborhood their entire life, 50s and 60s, like that's how old they are, rented their whole life. This is the first time they can say they own a piece of the neighborhood they grew up in.
Wow, that's amazing.
And a lot of those properties, the values have gone up, like doubled. The first property we bought, a little over, this Texas price is not California prices.
Right, absolutely.
So $1 million to $2 million in like a year and a half.
Wow.
And all the residents are still there.
That's amazing. That's beautiful. And I'm glad you're doing it for the culture, for our community, so we can say we own land, and we, you know, even if you're renting all of your life, that you own at least a portion of something that you could say, hey, this is mine.
Yeah.
Without me, you can't sell this property, or you can't, you know, make a decision based off this property without my say so. So I love that you're, you know, spreading that word out for our culture to own a piece of land, which is essential because land is it's scarce. It's
scarce.
Yeah, it's scarce, and there's only so much of it.
Right.
You know, it's
They
not
aren't
going to
making
get
any
more.
more.
You're right. It's not going to grow or whatever. So it's just essential to have that ownership at the end of the day.
100%. And like the second project, we bought 20 properties. One of our residents just passed away. He was 81 years old, dialysis, had one arm amputated, and if we didn't buy the portfolio, the people that were going to buy the portfolio plan to kick everybody out, turn them into Airbnbs.
Oh, wow.
Because it's like half a mile from a $3 billion project.
Oh, wow.
So now we get to impact the community, and it's not charity. We're not just volunteering. We're making money. We're making real money, and we're impacting the community at the same time. And we have the decision making authority to have the flexibility to protect people from our communities.
Absolutely, and that's essential too, especially if it's yours, you know. So without you guys, they can't make a decision to put whatever they want on that land or to tear it down and just, you know, rebuild something else. So that's essential in decision making when it comes to change too.
Right. So I tell people it's okay to be a historian or a debater or a protester. The only way you really control is if you own it.
Absolutely.
That's how you control rents. You own the property. Absolutely.
And there's nothing better than owning a space that can't be reproduced or restructured. And this is just, you're not just buying blocks. Are you doing things like buildings and commercial properties as well too?
Yes. So the project I'm working on now, it's a conversion of an old site that used to be the landmark in Houston for us. It was like the Lakewood or Potter's House of Houston in the 60s and 70s, big black church right by downtown. Congregation has changed, you know, the way people worship changed, so they don't need to be a campus anymore.
Right.
And it's, like I said, right in the middle of over $3 billion worth of development. So me and a small group of investors raised about $2 million, bought the church for $6 million, and now we're partnering with the Houston Housing Authority to do an $80 million apartment complex deal that's going to be mixed income.
Oh, wow.
So half the building will be affordable, and we're going to target entrepreneurs for the affordable part, not just, you know, the regular Section 8 type crowd.
Right.
We want the young people starting businesses to move back to the neighborhood. The other half of the building is going to be market rate housing. And, you know, it's the only project right now in the city of Houston, which is fourth largest U.S. city, where there's a black development partner.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. The city that big, they don't have anyone else, but I'm fortunate to be at the table doing that right now.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then we're bringing in the top performing black charter school system in the country. That'll be the first Texas location there as well.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. Congratulations. Yeah. How long does something like that usually take to like produce, build and structure and organize and all of that?
Long time.
Years, I'm sure.
I bought the property in December of 2020. And so we're just now getting to the point to where we've got everything structured. We got the financing in order to move forward with the project. Especially when you're dealing with public entities, it takes a lot more.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you have to deal with the city, I'm sure, and their regulations and their restrictions and the things that they want and don't want. Do you ever come across certain situations where you buy a block and they have, like, HOA in that block that you can't necessarily do what you want to do even if you bought that property?
So, I teach everybody now. I made a lot of those mistakes when I was doing smaller deals, when I was flipping houses. But the most important thing you do is all the diligence on the deed restrictions, on what you can and cannot do.
Right.
You want to get advice from architects, from real estate brokers on highest and best use of the property before you buy it, because that can get very costly when it comes to development.
Absolutely.
Big development, say a project like this, you're going to spend $1 million to $1.5 million before you start construction. So if something goes wrong, and all that money was spent on like design and engineering, architecture, that paper's really worth nothing at the end.
Absolutely.
You lose all that money, so you have to be very strategic about how you move in those projects.
And that's super essential when buying any property, whether it's commercial, whether it's personal. You know what you're dealing with. Know if you have a HOA. Know if you what you can and can't put. Know what the city requires you to have or not have in your resident or your commercial property as well. So that's super duper key, because people buy properties and think like, oh, it's a nice property, but then it's like, oh, you can't expand your driveway, or you can't I don't know, make a pool in your backyard or whatever it is that you might want to do on your property.
Yeah. And for me, if I was independently wealthy, I might take a little more risk. But since I do have other investors involved in everything I do, I want to make sure I have an expert in every position that has at least 10 to 20 years of experience on all areas of development, on marketing, on real estate, and somebody that's a subject matter expert in that particular market. So I can get all these different points of advice, and if they all agree, then that makes it a safer bet. Nothing's guaranteed in investing.
Right,
but
absolutely.
it does hedge the bet.
So how do you kind of like handpick your team of people that help with investing and just getting the knowledge that they have to work on your team for these properties?
So I got this success triangle that I figured out after doing this for about 10 years. You need 3 things to be successful at whatever you do. You need the knowledge and experience, you need the opportunity, you need the money. So I realized the cheat code is to come to the table with 1. So if I come to the table with the right opportunity, I know I can go find somebody with knowledge and experience that says this makes sense.
Right.
Then we collectively can go get the money. And that works in either way around the triangle. If I got the money, I can go find somebody with opportunity. We go find the knowledge and experience. The key is you have to make it mutually beneficial for everybody else involved.
Absolutely.
So if they feel like it's a win and it's a fair deal, that's the best way you're gonna be able to shortcut whatever path to success you're trying to get to.
Absolutely. Everybody has to eat at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
100%.
I agree. So does family take a role into all of this business? Do you have a spouse? Children? How does that go about with everything that you have going on?
So
and make time for?
Yeah, I'm not married. I've always been a workaholic, and my mom was a marriage and family therapist, and I watched her counsel a whole bunch of marriages growing up, and I realized that we romanticize the sacrifice, and the number one cause of divorce is usually financial issues. So I figured I had to make a choice on what I wanted to focus on right now. So I've been focused on building the business and everything else. I do have, like I said, I had my son when I was 16. He just graduated college on full academic scholarship.
Oh, that's amazing!
Yeah,
Congratulations.
So thank you. So, and he wants to get into real estate now. I didn't force him. Let him do whatever he wanted to do. And now he's realizing I don't want to work for nobody else. I want to come work with Dad.
That's amazing. And I'm glad. I'm sure you're teaching him the things that he needs to learn.
Oh, yeah.
And the things that he needs to avoid along the way. So there's nothing better than parenting, and it's just a beautiful thing.
Yes. And I have a 4-year-old daughter, too. So it's a whole different experience raising her now as an adult, and having the financial freedom and working for yourself.
Yeah, no.
It's a great experience.
Girls are definitely different than boys.
Oh, yeah.
How do you feel like that transition is, raising a daughter as opposed to raising a son?
Huge. I mean, she's very clingy, very up under me. Definitely a daddy's girl. My son was always independent, doing his own thing. And I was a kid raising the kid, basically, 16, 17. So he's more like a little brother. But yeah, no, my daughter, it's a whole different experience, and I'm happy to be the type of example that she needs to see.
Absolutely.
And a male figure in her life. Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you feel like being a man, raising a man is different than, like you said, raising a daughter? Where it's like the boy kind of has more leeway, and the girl, you're kind of more protected. You're more of a protective parent too.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. So my son didn't need as much discipline growing up. He kind of just followed my footsteps. And my daughter's 4. She's very intelligent for her age, so we'll see where it goes.
Absolutely. She doesn't tell you like what she wants to be yet?
No, she doesn't tell me that, but she tells me everything else. She bosses me around on everything else. Yeah.
Usually it's always the girls that have like the dads wrapped around their fingers.
Exactly, 100%.
It's definitely different. No, we have, our kids range from 5 to 18, so we have a lot of different personalities, and just seeing how the guys are more independent than the girls, and just the girls, cling to their dads, and it's just a beautiful thing to see. Parenting and just like raising children in general. So does your daughter know like what you do yet, or she's
not really.
Kind of like daddy goes to work?
Daddy goes to work, or I take her to a lot of events that I'm speaking at, and she's like, "Daddy, all your friends are happy to see me," because everybody's always telling her how cute she is. And
oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I don't think she doesn't have a perspective on it yet.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. So what are you doing now? I guess that's an ongoing project that you're doing, like at this moment.
So in addition to the big apartment complex deal we're talking about, I've started mentoring students now teaching them how to do new construction. Because a lot of us know the basics of real estate investing, flipping houses, and wholesaling. But there's a huge market for us to get more into the development space. Everything was originated at some point by a developer, and it starts off with residential and goes to commercial, then industrial. And our community doesn't play a big role in any of those markets. Where you start learning how to do new construction and creating income producing properties. So all of my students so far in the Houston market, they've all cleared over $100,000 either in equity or on the sale of their first property. Whereas I lost $40,000 trying to learn how to do new construction myself. So my goal is to create a pathway to allow other people to get into the industry and rebuild communities.
That's amazing.
And for us not to be afraid of it and not to think that it's impossible, because before desegregation, we had built all of our communities everywhere in the country, everywhere we lived, and we can do that again. So that's really been my big focus and my passion and purpose right now.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so for everyone that comes on this show, we play this game called Dirty Minds, and I play with you, so you're not in the hot seat by yourself.
Okay.
We're describing words, and you can pick 3 cards, scramble them however you want to pick them. We're picking 3 cards, and we're describing the bottom word that is on the card.
Okay.
So I'm going to play with you as well, too. Okay. All right. Capone had a short one. The Beaver had a long one. Bono doesn't use his. Mr. Potter's was hairy. John Silver's was long.
Tail?
No. Capone had a short one. Bono doesn't use his.
Okay.
Mr. Potter's was hairy. John Silver's was long.
Name.
First name.
First name. Okay. First name.
Good job.
Okay. I'm a 4-letter word. I start with an F and end with a K. I can stick hot meat in your mouth.
Fork.
Yeah, you got it. I didn't have to finish it. Okay. So how do we determine who wins?
Whoever has more right.
Okay.
Okay. I can swing both ways. When I'm open, you can come in the rear. If you bang me too much, I could start to sag. When you grab my big knocker, you get attention. If you fondle my knob, I might let you enter me.
Door.
Good job. You're good at this.
All right, let's see. Using a flashlight can make my shaft look scary. Drilling me expands my hole. Wives understand why their men come inside me. It's easier to get lost in my secret cavity. You have to look down my shaft to find my jewels.
What?
Sounds kind of hard. A flashlight can make my shaft look scary.
Okay, can you read the clues again?
Yeah, okay. Using a flashlight can make my shaft look scary.
Okay.
Drilling me expands my hole. Wives understand why their men come inside me. It's easy to get lost in my secret cavity. You have to look down my shaft to find my jewels.
Man cave?
Close. Something bigger.
Bigger than a man cave. Basement?
Think mountains.
Okay, I have no clue.
It's a mine.
Oh, I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, that was pretty hard.
I would have never guessed that at all.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed. Okay, so, it's on me.
Yeah.
All right, last but not least. I come in waves. I am big enough, you'll feel me inside of you. If I'm big enough, you'll feel me inside of you. It can sometimes hurt when I come in your ear. If I'm really big, the neighbors might complain. Hard banging can make me bigger.
Dang, I was about to say water, but it's not water. I come in waves. Sound? It's like music?
Close. Noise.
Noise. Okay,
yeah.
Noise. Okay.
So you won. Oh, no, one more. I got one more.
One more, yeah. Okay. You have to pay someone to get on me. I could give you a Trojan. Without protection, you could catch something nasty from me. You're not happy when I go down on you. I allow you to have intercourse with strangers. Man, you got some hard ones.
Wait, one more time. The first one.
You have to pay someone to get on me. I could give you a Trojan. Without protection, you could catch something nasty from me. You're not happy when I go down on you. I allow you to have intercourse with strangers.
The web?
Yes. You
The
got
web?
it. The internet. Yeah, you got it.
Okay, so you got 2. No, I got 2 and you got 3, so you win.
I think so. I win. Okay.
You win. Good job. This is a hard game. Like, it's a hard game. Okay, tell everyone where they could find you, all the things that you have going on, how they can buy blocks, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so Chris Sengal on all platforms. I'm pretty sure you have that somewhere. ChrisSenegal. My YouTube, my social media, it connects to my website. Right now, I don't have any open projects, but I will have more crowd funds like the one I was talking about, where you can invest a small amount of money, be a part of a big initiative, and have impact on the community, and get exposure to real estate and real estate investing and development.
Absolutely. Be a part of buying a block and owning property, and just, help yourself and help the culture, and just bring property, your own property, and awareness to situations like what Chris has going on, and just get into real estate as well. And that is it for Telli Talks.